Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to Board Game Nation Studios. My name is Gary Blevins. Thank you so much for watching. Today, we're doing something special, a little something different. Our friend Thomas Haber is here to talk with us about the World Series of Board Gaming. That is the WSBG, for those of you in the know. He just wrapped up some incredible diplomacy events, and we're going to have him on to talk with us about it. If you've not had a chance to go to the World Series of Board Gaming, you should absolutely check it out. It is a great event. I had the opportunity to go last year and just had a ball. But without any further ado, let's bring in Thomas Haber to talk with us about his events. Well, there he is. Tom Haber, welcome back to the channel. Great to see you.
Great to be here, Gary. Appreciate it.
Well, tell us about your experience this year at WSBG. Tell us, well, I guess it might be helpful for everybody to have an understanding of basically what the World Series of Board Gaming is about, and then we'll talk more about the diplomacy events.
Sure. So if you're familiar with the World Series of Poker as a good analog, the World Series of Board Gaming is a competitive gaming event with cash prizes. So there are 16 different so-called ring events where players are competing over the course of a given day to try to win an actual ring as well as a cash prize. And then from those 16 winners, they compete until you reach a final champion with a very large cash prize for that individual. Now, at the same time that all these ring events are occurring, we have diplomacy. Last year was the first year of the National Diplomacy Masters for Classic Diplomacy. And with the release of Diplomacy Era of Empire, we have the very first Era of Empire tournament. And this was special in that for most tournament games, they've been around for a few years. Era of Empire was released just in August at Gen Con. And 2 months later, we're running our very first tournament. So there's no meta for this game. It was completely wide open for a field, and I was very interested to see how players would react after just learning the game to enter a competitive environment for it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see kind of how that went as well. We had the opportunity to meet in Dayton at the Hope Hotel, site of the upcoming Battlefront Dayton, to talk about how to play that game. And we put out the how to play video card above. And so if people are interested in learning more about how to play that specific game, that's how you will do that. But I really am interested in how the strategies played out. And I'm thrilled to know that in the wings, we also have the winner of that tournament to tell us about his experience. But first, I have to know, as somebody who is a fan of the World Series of Poker, and especially and also the World Series of Board Gaming, what was the big cash prize they gave away this year?
The grand champion won $25,000, and it just so happened that the ring event selected for the championship game was Acquire, also produced by Renegade Game Studios. So it was Renegade from top to bottom on all the events going on. It was a wonderful time.
Well, that's fun. So awesome. So how was the turnout? So you had this was the second National Masters Diplomacy event, right? Mm-hmm. So what was the turnout like, and how was how did it all go?
Yeah. So from last year, we had feedback from numerous players that they wanted more diplomacy. So they got 4 rounds of classic diplomacy with a top board. And then 1 hour after we finished the diplomacy championship, we went into a Swiss style best 2 rounds out of 3 for Era of Empire. So you get a little bit of downtime to get something to eat, maybe head to the restroom, and then you're immediately into the game. And I'd say the interesting thing is most players who are used to diplomacy are used to very tight play. It's almost like a knife fight in a phone booth. There's only 34 supply centers available. When you jump into Era of Empire, the map is much larger. There's 50 supply centers. There's more freedom of movement at the start of the game than there is in classic diplomacy. So they had to quickly sort of shift their mindset in how they would approach this game. It is definitely more open, and you have to get used to having more units available because it is a larger map and you can have more centers on it. So I'd say that was the primary challenge that I saw players adapting, where they would often double up in their first year, as in double the number of supply centers that they own, which means they double the number of units they have to order. And that was the constant challenge for players of an embarrassment of riches, like so many units to order that they're like, what am I going to do here? It's like, I have to get my negotiations done so I can go back to writing some orders. So I thought we had a very fun, dynamic event overall, where each round players were going to play a different power. So each person who played 3 rounds got to play 3 different powers. And we got to see different styles of play, like alliances that aren't traditional because there is no meta associated with this. So we saw a lot of aggressive play, particularly towards the end of the round. So we time limited this game. So we set it was going to end in 4 hours or at the end of the 7 game years, which is like 14 movements. And so players could get off to a big lead, and then they try to consolidate as much as they could. And then towards the end of the game, they want to jump up because your goal in each round is to have the most supply centers. And if not the most supply centers, you could end the game early by simply having a solo, which is 22 supply centers.
And that's not an easy thing to do. Well, I assume, and now I'm basing that on my failure to ever do such a thing in classic diplomacy.
Yeah, solo is very difficult. It's something that's tough to get to because, there's 6 other people who don't want you to solo on the board. So when you jump out to a lead, they typically work together. But what you can do, most especially in, I'd say, face-to-face play, is, look for a place where you can sort of like engender some form of conflict, or you have people with differing goals during the course of a game. Where maybe they're trying to go for their own particular high score for a power, and they're ignoring the looming threat on the horizon. Those are the moments in time where you have discord on the board or people looking for other goals that you can really take advantage and end up getting a solo.
All right. Yeah, I can see that. I wish somebody would have told me that before I tried to play diplomacy last time, but I'll keep that in mind the next time I decide to start writing orders for 1901. So, well, that's awesome. So we had the Diplomacy Masters event, and that wrapped up, and that had its own set of winners. And then we went into the Era of Empire event, and I understand that we have the winner is available here to talk with us. He apparently had a heck of a tournament. So without any further ado, let's bring in Richard Sweat. Richard, hey, welcome to Board Game Nation. Great to have you here. Can't wait to hear about your tournament.
Thanks for having me, Gary. Glad to be here.
Well, so you played in the very first Diplomacy Era of Empire tournament, and I understand that you came away not just as the victor, but somehow managed in this brand new game to score a solo victory. Is that right? Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, in the third round, the final round of the tournament, I got a solo 22 centers as Turkey. I was informed afterwards by Tom that during the playtesting of the game, that has never happened with this particular country. So it's actually a world first Turkey solo in Era of Empire.
Wow. That feels like it should be on a shirt or something like that. That feels like it gets its own trophy. Did it get its own trophy? It feels like it should get its own trophy.
We can make him a shirt, World's Best Turkey. I'm sure everyone will know it.
I like it. That's a great plan. Okay, so what was obviously you did really, really well. So can you talk to us about sort of your strategy going into it? Was it kind of what Tom was talking about before, trying to play a couple of other folks off of each other, or what was your game plan going in?
Right. So, I mean, with Era of Empire, it is a new game in the fact that it's a new map and there's a couple of new rules, but you still have skills that you can bring over from classic diplomacy. Having those experience writing the orders and having discussions and understanding the basics of outnumbering troops, take 2 to 1 or 3 to 2, whatever you need to do to take over a particular location on the map. That really comes in handy. I personally have played diplomacy for about 15 years. This is my second ever face-to-face tournament. The vast majority of my play has been online. And in the online scene, you have access to a lot more variant maps. And so I feel that some of that variant play online gave me a leg up compared to those who were at the tournament. We had a lot of people that played their first time ever games at the tournament. And that was great to see. But more of the experienced players, they have decades of experience in classic face-to-face, and that's it. So right. I think those things kind of threw the game in my favor a little bit.
Yeah. So, Tom, I wonder if you can tell me that Richard made a really interesting point there. Mm-hmm. How many people that played in the Era of Empire event, was this their first opportunity to have played it at all, or was this fresh for everybody?
So we had a number of players who were competing who were part of the playtest group. So they had, I would say, the extra experience for it. And we had others over the course of this calendar year who had played it at conventions or were actually given advanced demo copies to run it themselves as part of our Renegade Hero Community Outreach Program. And then, as Richard mentioned, we had a number of people who were playing their first ever diplomacy game, period. Not just like classic, but first ever game.
Okay, wow.
And I'd say that's sort of the part of the exciting aspect of both the National Diplomacy Masters as well as Era of Empire. The first time we ran this one is you have, a wide variety of experience, but because this is a net new game, it sort of evens it out. In some cases with experienced players, I'm sure, Richard, you've experienced this both online and in person. Knowing someone else prior is not necessarily a benefit. You may have existing issues with that person that would preclude you from working with them. Old wounds, they don't heal too easily. And, we definitely saw this in the tournament as well, where even though people say, I reset every game, we know they don't really reset every game.
Yeah, those backstab wounds, they don't heal up real quick. I still got a couple of marks in my back from the last time I ventured over to the diplomacy area for sure. But I played Austria for about 20 minutes.
I think I remember that game, Gary.
Was it you? I think it was you. I don't know. They came from behind me. I don't know who stabbed me. It's hard to tell. But
that might have been the game I got best Russia in.
I'm glad that I could help you get your best Russia there. I'm a team player around here. I will tell you that one of the things that sets the diplomacy events apart, at least the ones that Tom runs, are these amazing trophies and awards and so forth, and not just for top competitors, but also for, well, I don't know, Tom, you'd probably be better to say this. Like, what are all the awards that you guys give away at these events?
We like to give away a few special awards, not just for gameplay, but just for people who are positive, value adds to the overall competition that help with the culture of the competition. So I for example, and I want to give credit as well to both Robert Lacey, who's one of the most active volunteers in our program, for helping set up as well as do additional teaching. And so he won a World War I propaganda book for that. The other special award that we gave away is known as the Best Diplomat Award. That's common at all of the events that we do. And that is sort of the tournament director's choice. And the winner of that was also the winner of our Era of Empire tournament, Richard Sweat here, because for every round, he was busy recruiting people across the convention, talking up diplomacy and Era of Empire. And he really was a positive influence on both the attendance, but also like people's experience with the event. So we had a lot of people that came in who tried this for the first time or jumped into diplomacy after years away because Richard was out there recruiting so hard. So, if you talk about a person who earns it both on and off the board, he certainly earned that championship multiple times over, as well as that Best Diplomat Award.
Well, that's awesome. That's very, very cool. And I'd love to hear diplomacy gets this rap where like it's the fastest way to lose friends, but apparently it's also a great way to make friends. If you're walking around the convention, getting folks to play and meeting new people from all over the world. I understand you had a couple of international players that showed up for the tournament in Vegas.
Yeah, we had two special players join in. So one was known, one was not known until they started to play. So we had Davide Cleopatra travel all the way from Milan, Italy to compete. So he is a prior tournament director for the World Diplomacy Championship when he hosted Milan, multiple time tournament winner in Europe. And he's made a second trip over to the United States to compete in events. So he came over specifically to play diplomacy and enjoy the Vegas nightlife once we're finished with the rounds. The second player international is Fabian Barreño, who's from Bogota, Colombia. He was an unknown. Like, he was coming in to compete in the ring events, and he happened upon diplomacy. So, we taught him how to play. He wanted to enter Era of Empire. Like, that was his entry to diplomacy, was Era of Empire. In the very first game he played, he finished with a board top as an 18 center turkey. So,
Jeez.
And beyond that, like, he was winning also with charm. So all the players on the board, when he was watching, like, I was watching this going back and forth between the boards, like, the players were perfectly happy with him doing well because he was, just working the phone lines there, across with, as much as he could. And like, I thought it was pretty amazing, like, what he was able to do in that round. But, he went home with, copy diplomacy, copy of Era of Empire, and some other goodies because he has a large family and a large friend group. And that's where he learned a lot of the games he competed in for World Series of Board Gaming. And he's taking those back and he's going to be running those in his home. So we've spread some diplomacy to Colombia.
I like it. That's awesome. So, Richard, any final thoughts for the WSBG or Era of Empire? Any kind of what was your lasting impression, I suppose?
Oh, well, WSBG is always great. This was the 4th year, and I've gone all 4 years. I'll be going again next year, and I would totally recommend everyone to come and compete at WSBG. Not even just competing, just enjoying the camaraderie of the spirit of board gaming there at the convention. Honestly, my most favorite night of the convention is the last night. All the ring games are won. They've drawn the semifinals, and the winner of Splendor now has to compete in Brass Birmingham. They have no clue how to play that game, and so they've got 9 hours to learn it, sleep, whatever they have to do to get ready. And that's my favorite night, because I'm there up all night helping random strangers that I hadn't met until that convention, teaching them games, helping them get ready, because everybody wants the championships to be a fun and competitive experience. It's not a good time if everyone's just getting the floor wiped with them. And so everyone's, even though it is for cash and prizes, everyone's having a good time, and the spirit of competition is strong. So I really enjoy the convention as a whole. I was really excited that Diplomacy joined the tournament last year, and I got to have my first face-to-face tournament. I was glad that it was back, and I look forward to it continuing to grow throughout the future.
I remember when I first heard about WSPG and we're going to be playing for money. I worked in casinos for 20 years, and I know wherever there's money, there's tension, right? And I went to WSPG expecting to find that and did not. I found everybody just to be really, really friendly. And even at the end, when they're playing for $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, they're all still rooting for each other. Now, of course, they want to win, but they also are helping and training and teaching. And even if they're going to be competing against each other, it was just a really surprising environment, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely looking forward to going back next year. So I'm glad you had a great time, and thank you for taking the time today to talk with us about your experience out there. And congratulations again on being the world's biggest turkey, as it were, and your victory on the very first Diplomacy Era of Empire tournament at the World Series of Board Gaming in Las Vegas. So thank you very much for your time. Oh, by the way, if you are interested in seeing more from Richard Sweat, he has a Twitch channel, which is League of Average Gaming, which I'm certain is an understatement. He's obviously an expert gamer. So if you want to check out his play on Twitch, here's the link, and you can find it in the description below. Richard, thanks again for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
So, Tom, that was the first Diplomacy Era of Empire tournament. Is there another one coming up anytime soon?
Oh, it's just around the corner, Gary. I think you know what that is. Battlefront in Dayton, November 7th through the 9th at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the Hope Hotel. We are hosting the first ever Diplomacy Triathlon. 3 rounds, 3 different diplomacy games. Who is the best all-around player? First round, Classical Diplomacy. Second round, Era of Empire. Third round, the all-new Diplomacy, the Golden Blade card game, making its world premiere at Battlefront Dayton.
Well, that is very exciting. I understand we've got some prizes and so forth that are special for this event. We're going to have some gifts for people that are learning diplomacy for the first, or learning Golden Blade for the first time. So that's really exciting. We're going to have the big walkout maps that people will be able to play on.
We've got 2 giant walkable maps, one for Classic Diplomacy, that's 8 foot by 12 foot. Same setup for Era of Empire, also 8 foot by 12 foot. For Golden Blade, we don't have those giant novelty oversized cards yet, but I'm sure that will be created sooner or later for people to play. We might have an issue with table space if we started to do that. But we're going to have, at bare minimum, the prototypes for Golden Blade for people to play. If we get the factory copies, as in like the pack out copies before then, I will bring that, just like we're going to have the Axis and Allies Commander's factory pack out copy available for you. I think, do you have it there? He does. That's the very first one, ladies and gentlemen. So we're hoping to have the version for Golden Blade as well.
Yeah, so these are very cool. This will be available for use at Battlefront Dayton as well. This is the all new Axis and Allies Commanders. It's an accessory that works with every version of Axis and Allies. So we'll have that available for folks to use, and we'll be playing Golden Blade for the first time, which I'm really, really excited about. So we've got a bunch of people already signed up to play in this thing. I think it's going to be a really exciting diplomacy event. We've got a ton of Axis and Allies players, of course. We also have a bunch of HeroScape players coming, so we'll have a bunch of these to play with and give away, and so it's going to be a ton of fun. If you are interested in joining us for Battlefront Dayton, follow the link in the description or scan the QR code on your screen now. Tom, thank you so much for taking the time and helping us put together this event at Battlefront Dayton. I really appreciate all of the support that you have put together for us in your partnership through Renegade Heroes, in your capacity with that, and then also as a diplomacy event organizer extraordinaire. So I appreciate all of your help, and we look forward to seeing you at Battlefront Dayton.
Take care, everyone.
All right, my friends, that is our recap of the 2025 World Series of Board Gaming, specifically the diplomacy events. Thank you to Thomas Haber for joining us this evening, and of course to Richard Sweat for taking the time to join us, and congratulations on his victory in the very first Diplomacy Era of Empire event. If you would like to take a swing at Diplomacy Era of Empire, Classical Diplomacy, as well as the all-new, brand-new Diplomacy, the Golden Blade, we will be looking for you on the list at Battlefront Dayton. For more information about that, make sure that you follow the link in the description, and we will see you at the Battlefront.